Continuing lesson 1 in module 2 here, which is on opposite quantities combined to make 0. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be talking about this integer game. Okay, and I don't want you to stress when you hear it referred to as integer game, but we're basically pretending that we have cards with different integers on them. Now remember, integers are positive and negative whole numbers, and they include 0. So the question here says, what is the sum, that means we're going to add, of the card values shown? Use the counting method on the provided number line to justify your answer. So these are our cards, right? Maybe we're holding the integer cards in our hand, and my cards have a 5, a -5, a -4, and an 8. So if I want to know the sum, it means I have to add them all up. So let's just go to our number line here. Where do we start? Right here at 0. Remember, we always start at 0. Now, if this is a positive 5, that means, remember, we don't write the positive sign, but that means I'm moving 5 units to the right. So if I start at 0, I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, I'm going to end up right here at 5. So after making this movement, I'm now at 5. But now I am going to move 5 units to the left because it's a negative sign, but I'm at 5 right here. So if I come up, I now have to go 5 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after I complete this movement, sorry, that's an arrow there, a very sloppy arrow. I'm back at 0. So now I'm going to go to the next integer card here. I'm going to move 4 units to the left. Where did I end up? I ended up here at 0. So now I'm going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm at -4. Finally, I need to move 8 units. 8 units to the right because it's a positive 8. So go to where I left off, here at -4. And now I want to move to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now where did I end up? Oops. Let me pay attention to what I'm doing here. I ended up at 4. Sorry, can I erase those little lines in there? Nope, it's not that one. Sorry. Anyway, I ended up right here at 4. So what is the final position on the number line? It's at 4. Now, I need you to pay close attention to this next part because you're going to be asked this again. And it says, what card or combination of cards would you need to get back to 0? Well, if I'm at 4, what do I need to combine with 4? Or what direction do I need to move to get back here to 0? Well, I need to go 4 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. A -4 would take me back to 0. But it also says what combination of cards. Well, can I do more than one way to get back to 0? Let me show you what I mean. Sorry, a lot of marks on here. There we go. Okay, so if I'm here at 4, what happens if like we just did a couple movements there, right? What happens if I go, oh goodness, there. 1 unit to the left, and now I'm at 3. So that'd be a -1. Could I still make it to 0? Sure. What if I added 3 more? That would be at 0. Okay. What if I started with -2? What would I have to do to get to 0? I'd have to go a -2 more. We could probably even do, because just this combination, what if I did -1 and -2 and negative 1. Do you guys see how all those things, all those combinations of numbers can take you back to 0? Okay, but what you'll notice is all of these all combine to be our negative 4. All right, again, we're just focusing on opposites and the relationship of numbers. You're going to see, for some reason, this crazy term called the additive inverse. Okay? We have an additive inverse and a multiplicative inverse, meaning multiplication. All this means right here is opposite. Okay, so when you hear the term additive inverse, it means the opposite. There's a reason, I'll explain later why we have more than one word for opposite. Okay, so we're talking about additive inverse here, opposites. It says, how far is 7 from 0 and in what direction? Okay, well, if I go, how they want to know how far away is 7 from 0? I'm just going to do one big leap there. It's 7 units. In what direction? To the right. Okay, 7 units direct to the right. Now, what is the opposite of 7? Remember, opposite, we could also say additive inverse. Okay, so what is the opposite or additive inverse of 7? Well, remember we talked about opposites, and they're the same absolute value, same distance from 0, but in the opposite direction. So if we, instead of going 7 units to right, we're going to go 7 units to left. And it says, how far is negative 7 from 0? Well, it's 7 units. Don't say it's a negative 7 units, because we don't talk when we say how far away is something, we don't say negative. We say how many units and then give a direction. And as I struggle to write here, the big thing I want you to remember is not to overthink this lesson, but understand we can take numbers and we can combine them to get 0. We can take 4 and a negative 4 to get 0. We can take 4 and then take a negative 1 and a negative 3. Ooh, showing this example here. Okay, if I'm at 4, I could do negative 1 and then negative 3 to get back to 0. So some kind of combination working with our absolute value. Property. For every a, there is a negative a, so that when you combine them, that equals 0. So if this is 3 and we combine that with a negative 3, well, that gives us 0. Okay? The additive inverse of a number is that, so the sum of them is 0. It's the opposite of number. Okay? And then we call it the existence of additive inverses. So we have our lesson summary here, what you can read, but what I want you guys to remember is that we can have our additive inverse, where we can have numbers where we add them together, it equals 0. Sometimes it's just adding 4 to negative 4, but sometimes it might be adding 4 to negative 1 and negative 2 and negative 1.